weeks. Oh my God! Wow. We're back.
Kind of. Oh, there we are.
Hey, we're back on our screen.
Right on.
These are delays.
About damn time. Yeah, you might want to.
So, what a train wreck that was.
Man. We apologize for any of the hiccups and everything we had going on.
You know, I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry. First, the computer didn't want to recognize the microphones. Then the computer didn't want to recognize the camera. Then the computer didn't want to play the microphones. And then one of the jacks in the headphones goes out. And then we're just like, I'm ready to shoot myself in the head. But you know what? We're here now. We're here.
It's just one thing right after another.
It's one thing after another. But we're here.
We are here.
So say hi. I know somebody's got to be. Oh, you got 3 watching.
3 watching.
There's 3 of you out there. Well,
Say
at least
something.
2. One of us is on.
Yeah. What about the other 2?
I don't know. Say hi.
Yeah.
Yukon Cornelius.
It's Rick. The man, the myth, the legend. That is Rick Weaver.
He's here.
He is here. And Michelle's on too. So how's it going, guys?
So, yeah. All right. So, Fireway Podcast. Hashtag it. Make sure you spread it out. And make sure you don't spread the link for the last video, because that was embarrassing.
Oh, man. That was hot garbage.
It was hot garbage.
It was. Just big old steaming pile of it.
Dumpster fire? Much?
Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, we're going to go with dumpster fire. Hell with it.
So.
I'm here. I'm queer. Get used to it. Yeah. Well, you know.
We've
that's
been
okay.
used to it for years, right?
It's all
anyway.
Good.
So, on the agenda, we have plenty.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess we're going to be a half hour behind on it, but whatever.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Everybody's going to tune in who's going to tune in anyway.
At some point.
Yeah. So,
Even
how is everybody doing? We got another Fireway Podcast. Oh, shit, we didn't get shot glasses. I guess we did have one step that we missed. Those things are dirty.
You know,
we have plenty of shot glasses, man. They're all
that's
over there in the lounge.
Why didn't you have me get them before? Jesus.
I don't know. Hop up and get the damn shot glasses.
Fucking do everything.
Fuck. Anyway, we're doing this as professional as we can for a podcast run out of a garage. Yeah. So this little bastard right here, this little bastard right here is the reason we're a half hour late. That's how simple that is. That little bastard right there. But you know what? We're here. And Rick's queer.
I was just thinking that.
Anyway, so on this edition, obviously, you've been hearing us talk about it for at least the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Slayer concert.
Oh, we've got to talk about that, man.
And then we're going to talk about skeet. Anyway, then Josh has got some movies he reviewed and watched.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have a heavy metal
death
match between Ghost and Gwar. I got some notable a notable album that I'd like everybody to check out if you're a heavy metal fan. And then you got some time, whatever. Then we got then we'll talk about some other stuff, and then we'll shoot over to Facebook, and we'll talk some smack, have some fun, just hang out with us. Josh is pulling out the Henry's Hard Soda.
I am. Not just any Henry Hard Soda. Orange
Hard Soda. And then I got the Smirnoff Red, White, and Berry.
Which is good stuff, too, by the way.
Yes, it is. And then
Rick, the deaf win that match.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
I like it. I like the way. I like that. I think I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, the deaf match.
The deaf match. I don't know what's playing.
Right. But anyway, we're gonna have some
fun.
Yeah, we have to do our ritual. The fireball, the Fireway Podcast fireball shot. Not brought to you by Fireball because they are not sponsoring us.
And we really wish they would.
They did. They don't.
Yeah. We tag them in all these posts and they don't respond.
So, you know.
What the hell's up with the... Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, fuck 'em. So, can you give me a hand to hold that? Because,
Let me drink it for you, too?
No. Well, I mean, if you want to, but no. I'm trying not to spill. I don't want to spill. These look like communion cups.
They look like the kind of cups you would do like a urine test with.
Oh my god, dude, that would be horrible. Because this kind of looks like urine.
It does, but...
That one's a little fuller. I'm bad at pouring. I'm not a bartender. I'm a schmuck with a podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm the Schmuck's co-host.
All right.
Which is also, you know, kind of like a schmuck by association.
Schmuck by association. Hashtag that one, schmuck by association.
Yes. Make it happen.
Okay, so...
Without further ado...
So, if you got a drink with you, which I would hope you would if you watch this podcast, if you got a drink with you, raise it with us. And, skull, everybody.
Skull.
To a good podcast, hopefully.
That was long overdue.
Long overdue. Ugh. That cleared the sinuses right up.
I like it.
Hashtag me too. All right, so trying my best to reach this thing.
I think Rick just hijacked that hashtag.
The hashtag. I just hijacked your hashtag.
Haha.
So, where should we begin? We're gonna start with the Slayer concert because that was the one thing that happened already.
Well, yeah, let's go with the Slayer concert because I just, you know, I can't stop thinking about it. That was a blast.
Yes, it was awesome. If you ever, I want to point this out way ahead of time. If you ever go to the, the Hollywood Theater Amphitheater, the Hollywood
Amphitheater in Tinley Park.
Whatever the fuck it's called. Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, that's it. All right, so if you ever go to that, make sure you get tickets where there are seats. Because if you're up on the grass, number one, it's hot. Number two, there's hardly anywhere to stand. And number three, you are way the fuck out there.
Yeah.
So if anybody saw my live footage on Facebook, we're way the fuck out there.
Yeah, it was quite a ways away.
But we still enjoyed the concert. We could still see everything. I mean, they had the screens up and everything. But you see those videos of the download concerts where they have the giant screens and everybody's watching on there because they're so far away. Right.
And you know what, though? And that's fine because it's, you know.
Yeah.
I was just beat because I had not gone to bed. I didn't take a nap or nothing. I went right from work, went home, got cleaned up, got all ready, and then that's when by the time you came and got me, and I was so pumped. I get the pre-concert jitters where it's like,
I know what you mean.
And then the minute I'm there and I walk in, boom, I'm pumped. My blood's pumping.
Yeah, dude. We were like jumping out of our feet. But, you know, we got to see Testament. Well, at least we got to see the last part of Testament because we were in the merch line for half an hour.
Yeah.
To get two $45 t-shirts.
Yeah.
And then, fuck yeah. But it was worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it.
And then we got to see the end of Testament, which a few of you probably saw. I did chime in, make sure that you got to see at least one song from Testament. If you didn't see it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's on there, so go to the Facebook page. You can see all the videos I posted. I haven't posted any of the Slayer videos yet. I apologize. I'm falling behind, but it's been a busy week. So,
yeah.
And then, who was next? Behemoth.
Behemoth was, and I was actually surprised. I wasn't really looking forward to it because there's only really two songs that I like from them. Excuse me. And but the show was just, it was fun. It was cool. I mean, obviously with a black metal band, because that's pretty much what they're considered, you're kind of there's a lot of expectations. I've seen, like I said, I know I hear this a lot, but I was like, when I saw Dimmu Borgir live years ago, it just was not.
It was terrible.
It was just one big wall of noise.
Yeah.
At least with Behemoth, you knew what song was what.
Right. And, you know, all their songs kind of have a similar intro.
similar, but at the same time, you can tell them apart.
Yeah, they're distinctive, but you know, they're always kind of similar in some way. But you know, then they really get into it. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't go into Behemoth, into this concert liking Behemoth at all. And I think that's all I've been listening to for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've been in that aspect. Oh wow! When I got an email from Apple Music, and I got a free month of Apple Music, so I think I went nuts. I mean, Anthrax, Lamb of God, Behemoth, Slayer, everything. You know, just all kinds of good music.
Right. Yeah.
And
for anybody who's hearing humming in the background, that's the air conditioner because it's like 100 degrees in here. I'm doing my best to keep the computers cool.
Yeah.
On top of just us.
Pretty humid.
It's pretty nasty. It's I'm not going to complain too much.
No. Could be worse.
What our tax layer? That's funny. Rick blames the acoustics at the Iowa Wireless Center. It's 78 in Arizona. How the fuck did that happen?
I know. I can't. No. No.
But anyway, moving on. Next was Anthrax.
Anthrax,
which I couldn't wait for. I was pumped. I wanted to see Anthrax.
I've seen Anthrax numerous times. Every time they're on, I've seen them with Joey and I've seen them with John Bush. When John Bush, it just really wasn't. It didn't feel like it was Anthrax. With Joey back on vocals, oh man, I felt like I was 16 again.
Right.
Cranking up Among the Living, and oh man, just hearing Caught in a Mosh. And my favorite Anthrax song of all time, I Am the Law.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And of course, we know Rick. You love Bush.
That's you asked for the heat. Shut up, Michelle.
No.
Okay, earlier this week, I was complaining that it was 60 degrees and cloudy.
I was okay with 60 degrees and cloudy.
I was not, because I wanted to get in my swimming pool, and god damn it, I still haven't gotten in the swimming pool, and it's been 100 degrees the last 2 days in a row.
And whose fault is that?
Well, yesterday I was like having some heat stroke or some shit, and whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't care. Anyway, but okay, let's just move back on to it. We had Anthrax. And then Lamb of God.
Lamb of God, oh man, they ripped.
It's like the third time I've seen Lamb of God, and it was worth it every time.
Oh, they're great.
I don't wear a Speedo. Yeah,
I might.
If you pay me enough.
Yeah, well, people are going to say, wow, looks like you're hauling walnuts where they shouldn't be.
He's smuggling plums.
I'm mighty tidy whitey and I'm smuggling plums.
But,
anyway.
So, Lamb of God came out, and it was almost dark when they came out. The sad part about, I don't like it when metal bands like that have a big stage show come out and it's still light outside. I mean,
I hate that.
It'd be like watching Marilyn Manson in the daytime.
I've only seen Marilyn Manson twice.
Yeah, well, I've never seen Marilyn Manson. I probably won't.
You're not really missing much. I had my phase where I liked his music and everything. I think it was just because it was so different from what everybody else was doing. But then all of a sudden, it kind of went mainstream, and I went, okay, time to hang it up.
Right.
So.
Notably, Marilyn Manson just released his remake of
Cry Little Sister from the Lost Boys soundtrack,
which was really good.
I'm actually
the best Manson track I've heard since Eat Me, Drink Me. It's probably the last good album that came out.
Yeah.
That was the one with heart-shaped glasses.
Yeah. I don't know. Portrait of an American Family. I think if I was ever going to choose an album from Marilyn Manson, it would have been Portrait of an American Family.
Yeah.
I think it was just because that's around the time when I started kind of hearing about him, and I first saw him on Headbangers Ball, and I'm like, who the hell is these group of weirdos? And then their music, they played a few videos from them. I'm like, wow.
Right. Well, of course, that was back when metal was just on its rise from the mid '90s.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes and goes.
Well, the thing was, a lot of the time around the '90s, I can remember, just the whole alternative.
Ah,
Oh
no.
God, don't even get me
Grunge.
started.
Grunge ruined the 90s.
Grunge. I loved some of the music.
Portrait was a great album.
Huh? Oh yeah, totally. There were a few bands that I liked around that time, and to be honest with you, a lot of them, like I'll tell you right now, there's one of my favorite bands that came from that era was Alice in Chains. Love Alice in Chains.
Well, see, there's that constant dispute, though. Are they metal or are they grunge?
That's the beautiful part of it.
Are
is
they
that
grunge metal?
They can. When Lane Staley was alive, I mean, I'm talking the original incarnation of Alice in Chains. They could open for a metal band. They could open for an alternative band. They could open for a rock band. And that was so great about it because Lane Staley had so much of that vocal range. And I still speak highly of it to this day. And the guy they've got now is pretty good.
Right.
There's a few songs that I think just kick ass.
Right.
And, but
we're digressing.
We're digressing. I apologize.
It's okay, though. Opinions are welcome. Do you know what I mean?
It happens when we're
when
pure
you
rock.
love metal the way we do.
Yes.
That's what happens. We digress. We'll talk about metal all night long.
The Slayer concert kind of relit that fire.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
It relit the
fire. There was a short period of time I was listening to country nonstop. And I'm like...
I really wasn't listening to much of anything.
Right. Then I got to stop. I do still love some country music, but...
I like the classics.
Right.
Anyway, we're digressing.
Well, it happens. Whatever. Okay, so Lamb of God came out, and they fucking melted our faces off.
I still love when Randy came out and said, when he was talking about Joey Belladonna singing the national anthem at the Chicago Cubs game.
Yep.
And just about the whole place started booing, and he turns around and just yells, "Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah, we were in
Cubs.
Southside.
Yep.
Southside of Chicago. So for those of you who don't know, that's White Sox territory.
Yep, and of course 2 Cubs fans here.
Yeah, good thing I wasn't wearing a Cubs shirt.
I know. We probably
felt like I would have gotten beat up,
mobbed.
Right?
We probably wouldn't have made it to the concert.
Oh well, what do you do?
Oh well.
We had a good time. So they came out. They played their best songs. I gotta say,
which was just like pretty much anything they played.
And I can't go any further without saying, if you haven't heard the new Lamb of God, the Burn the Priest, which is all cover songs, make sure you check it out. They do a pretty good cover of Kerosene.
Yep.
There is a couple other really notable songs on that album, but it's worth checking out if you're a metal fan. So check it out.
Totally.
So on to the band of the hour.
Oh yes,
Slayer.
The legendary, iconic Slayer.
Yeah, we had to do that.
Holy shit! They kicked my ass from beginning to end.
He kept sitting down and then getting back up, and I thought he was going to break his hip doing that.
I literally almost thought I did at one point. I wouldn't have cared. It would have been totally worth it. Totally worth it. It was well, for one, a few of my favorite Slayer songs they actually played live. Ditto Head off of Divine Intervention is like one of my all-time favorites because it's got that hardcore, breakneck. Punk rock kind of vibe, where it's just really fast and relentless. And of course, they played "Repentless." That just blew me away. I love that song too.
Love that shit. Just going back to Lamb of God, what surprised me is they started the show off with Omerta, and I was shocked by that. I was like, that's not like one of those songs that I would expect them to start off the show with.
I totally wasn't expecting that.
It blew me away, but hey, it worked.
Hey,
so
go with it.
Yeah, but back to Slayer. Yeah, I was happy they played Dead Skin Mask. I figured they were going to.
Hell Awaits.
Hell Awaits. They fuck, dude. They played Postmortem. They played, of course, Raining Blood, which I assumed that was going to be an encore, but they didn't have an encore. They just went straight through and kept punching you.
Yeah, they grabbed you by your throat and you went for the ride, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
And I totally liked it.
But
Killing Fields, I think didn't they play Killing Fields?
Yes,
they did play Killing Fields. That's the only one I couldn't remember.
They played. Oh god,
when they played
an hour and a half of Slayer, just
man,
just ramming a fist down your throat.
Yeah,
and
They played one of the song that got me into Slayer in the first place. Seasons in the Abyss.
Right. They
That
played
was
that.
my all-time favorite Slayer album.
South of Heaven.
South of Heaven. Oh,
They
man.
played, but they ended the show with a tribute to Jeff Hanneman.
Yeah.
And played
Angel of Death.
Angel of Death.
Yes.
With the Heineken backdrop.
Yes.
I welled up a little. I gotta tell you.
I did too. I was like,
you-
Jeff. I totally wish Jeff would have been there for it.
Right.
But of course, unfortunately, he's gone.
Yep.
But you can't tell me that he would have been
watching.
He was watching. He was proud.
Yep.
They tore it up. Gary Holt is probably like one of the greatest additions to that band because he just fit in perfectly.
Yeah.
So I can't knock him for that because he was just shredding.
Yeah.
He was going note for note with Kerry King.
Right.
And that's not an easy feat.
No, it's not. But yeah. So for anybody who hasn't, if you love Slayer, go to YouTube, obviously, and check out your favorite Slayer videos.
They have the Tinley Park concert.
They have the Tinley Park.
I've been
awesome.
periodically watching a few of them. But if you go to YouTube, look up Slayer Final Tour Tinley Park. They have I think they have the full set.
Awesome.
Which if you didn't get to go, check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah, we're up there somewhere.
Somewhere in that chaos.
Somewhere in the mob of people, we're up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so also in that same note, we they have the Repentless documentary.
Yeah.
The making of the album, which is totally worth a watch. So check that out too.
But and here's where it's up my alley. The cool thing about that video for Repentless is that I was pointing this out to a couple of my friends when I was showing them the video, asking if they've seen any familiar faces. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
For example, of course, Danny Trejo. I think he just showed up that day and said, "Hey, I want to be in the video." And they're like, "All right,
okay,
it's Danny Trejo. He won't leave." It's like he's just keeps staring at us and
look for the bald white guys. Yep.
Yep. That's us amongst the others. And there's Tyler Mane.
Right.
Bob Sapp's in it.
Right.
Bill Chop Top Mosley's in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to I think. Who else? There's another guy. I can't remember his name, but he was in a few horror movies. People Under the Stairs is one of them.
Right.
But yeah, there's like a who's who
of horror,
of the horror genre in that.
And on that same note, if you are a geek and you have been following this podcast, the Repentless comic books, you can order them on Amazon.
I am so ordering one.
Yep, it's a series. I think it's a series of 4, but check them out. Go get them. If you're a Slayer fan and you like comic books, go get the Repentless comic books off of Amazon.com. They're downloadable and you can order them in paperback. Nice. I don't know if they are comic books or graphic novels, but
who cares?
But hey, enjoy.
Yes.
Get them. Read them. It tells the whole story. What you don't get to see in the video combination.
Oh, the trilogy?
Series. Yes. So, on to something else, I guess, right?
Yeah.
We want to stick with music, or we want to go to the horror movies? I'll put it in your hands, co-host.
Oh, man. You're making it hard for me to do this. You know what? You want me to do my reviews?
Go ahead, man, if you want to.
Okay.
We just talked about horror. Let's go ahead and go into the horror, shall we?
All right. So, of course, I said we put up a survey where if you wanted me to just do one review or me to do more than one review, and a few of there wasn't that many votes.
The people who voted overwhelmingly that they wanted you to do two movies and not just one.
And that's exactly what I did. Woo! Why? Because I love the fans.
Because it's for the fans. That's all it's about. Ooh, we got two. Oh. I had 2 ears for a second.
Oh, cool. I guess. Anyway, first movie I am going to review is a nice little rare gem called Slaughter High.
Go ahead. Sorry, I had to.
What was that?
I had to. Go ahead. Sorry.
Slaughter High came out in, I think it was 1986. Yeah. It came out by Vestron Pictures in November of 1986. It didn't have a very long theatrical run. I remember it very well. I was 9. But back then, though...
Come on, man. You're just showing your age there.
Shut up.
I remember it when I was 9.
I was 9.
31 years ago.
Jesus Christ, shut up. Anyway, yeah, I'm old, I get it. But I got to see all the cool movies.
That's true.
The 80s were a great
You got
time.
to remember them, that's the thing.
Yeah, well, boy. Some of them I do remember, and some of them I don't want to remember. And this is one of them that I love. I actually found it on YouTube, of all places. And came out in 1986. It's about these group of kids that play a joke on, like, the school nerd. You know, your typical beginning of a slasher-type movie. And the kid's name is Marty, and he is kind of like, he's the big dork nerd type kid at school, and all these, like, there's a prankster, and all these, the jocks and the popular girls and everything are picking on him, playing jokes on him, and doing all these horrible things. Well, one joke that they play on him goes horrendously wrong. They gave him this poison-laced marijuana joint, and as he's smoking it while he's working on this experiment, he ends up causing all kinds of chaos in this lab. And
don't worry about it.
A bottle of acid falls on him and all this other shit. And he catches on fire. Well, they cart him out, and he's just bandaged to head to toe. And then it kind of fast forward to where they're all adults, and they get mysteriously invited to this reunion. Well, they go, and they're the only ones there.
Right.
And the innkeeper of the school, they're like, "What are you guys doing here? This school's, condemned. It's going to be torn down here in a few days. But you guys go ahead and, have your little fun or whatever, and just get out of here." Well, all of a sudden, this mysterious figure shows up and starts killing off everybody in creative little ways. So, and then you find out that it's this Marty kid. Everybody thought he went crazy and whatnot. A lot of cool special effects. A lot of gruesome, gory scenes. Especially, like I said, for that time, the gore effects were pretty neat. And then there's a nice little twist at the end, and you're like, wait, what? So I won't give it away. If you ever get a chance to check it out, it's a nice little rare gem. It's what you would expect. And the funny part of the whole movie, and this is what cracks me up to this day, and I never thought about it until I watched it again. There's only one American actor in that whole movie.
Nah.
The rest of them are either British, and there's one Scottish. And that guy would go on to play Cousin Dougal in The Highlander.
Hey.
I can't remember his name. But it's weird. And Carolyn Monroe, for those of you who don't know who Carolyn Monroe is, she is like the poster girl for the Hammer horror films.
Okay.
In fact, her first movie she ever did was with two legendary actors, which were Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was Dracula AD 1972 was the name of the movie that she first appeared in. And she's a British actress. And you can tell throughout the movie, they're trying to hide their accent.
Right.
I mean, they're really trying. And
Is that obvious?
Pretty damn obvious.
Right.
And it's funny because there's a few scenes where they're one girl in particular, she's like, "Can we go now? Can we?" I'm thinking,
that don't sound right.
That's not right. No. But it's okay. It's good for what it is.
Right.
I'm not. It's a low budget film.
Right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
The original working title for it, get ready for this,
Okay.
April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
That was the original working title they were going with. However, that same year, a few months later, well, I think it was, I'm trying to think here, Paramount Pictures was putting out a horror slasher type film called April Fool's Day.
Nice.
So they had to figure out, okay, well, they had to kind of scramble around. All right, well, we'll just call it Slaughter High.
Right. Hey, it works.
It works. It totally works. And sadly, Simon Scudamore, who played Marty in the film, committed suicide before the film was even released. It was like right close to the time where it got released. A lot of the cast members said that he was really quiet. He didn't really interact with anybody. But he was there every day for his scenes. He was, a professional. But they said that he just apparently was just very, very, very depressed, and that's sad, really.
Oh yeah, it's sad when anybody commits suicide.
Yeah. And what he doesn't, and if he were to still be alive, I think he'd be surprised at how much of there is a hardcore cult following for this movie.
Right.
As rare as it is, and it's one of those rare ones. YouTube has it. So if you ever get a chance, get on YouTube, look up Slaughter High. It's on there in its entirety. Highly recommended. Very much rare gem, I guess.
A rare gem.
Yeah. So it actually, believe it or not, when it was released in theaters, it got negative reviews.
Of course it did.
But
to point out though, when you get movie movie critics.
Yeah.
Siskel
and Ebert, prime example.
Yeah.
Fuck those two.
You can't get a good movie review for a horror film unless you've got a huge named actor in it. It's garbage to them.
Much.
They don't half the time they don't review them. The other time if they do review them, they just bash the fuck out of them.
Well, look what happened with Silent Night, Deadly Night when that first came out. They tore that movie up one side and down the other. And you would think that at some point, people would have been like, oh, well, I can't watch this movie. Look, what ended up happening? More people went to see it.
Right.
And instead of, and with all the controversy, I remember the controversy behind the movie, that movie in particular, because of what it pertained to, what it dealt with, what the whole premise of the movie was, and how much people, these moms were protesting. Instead of talking to your kids and saying, okay, this is just a movie, it's not real, they're like calling Congress, they're calling the state senators.
Well, that was the 80s, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's the same shit to this day. Nobody wants to discuss, hey, this is just a movie. Because this is what I do with my kids.
This is in the middle of the 80s, right? It was
early to mid 80s.
Okay, so we're talking about right around that same time that Dee Snider and Frank Zappa were up in Congress trying to defend heavy metal.
Yeah.
Okay, so
pretty much. And of course, they were defending censorship, and John Denver, of all people,
right,
coming to the aid to fight censorship.
For all you kids who don't know this happened.
Yeah. I was just a kid around this time. But no, back to the slasher genre. The 80s really had an overabundance. It was like the 80s, like the early to mid 80s is when the slasher genre just kind of went boom, and all of a sudden they was just coming out of the woodwork.
And then the 90s and the 2000s rolled around and they popped up like herpes.
Worst case. Not that I would know.
Right.
But but as far as there was a lot of really good films that came out at that time that were just kind of getting overshadowed. This is one of them.
Right.
So I highly recommend people checking it out. I think I might still be on DVD, available on DVD. I'm not sure, and I don't know if I think it did get a Blu-ray release.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You can find it somewhere.
Yeah. They had it was in 2009, and in October of 2017 it got a Blu-ray release. So yes, if you can find it, get it.
Yeah, for all those who are into B horror films, there you go. There's your your first endorsement from good old Josh over here, Jay Bloody.
It's what I do. Okay, so this next one I'm going to be reviewing is actually one of my top 10. Is actually, I'd say it's one of my top 10 for as far as.
You know, I'd like to see you review a movie you don't like, just once.
Are you sure you're prepared for that?
Yes, but it has to be a horror movie. It can't be like, Titanic.
Oh my God! You realize how many? I wouldn't even know. I'd have like the case of OCD. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Okay, what's wrong with this movie? Well, this list would be short.
Well, where do I start?
Right with it.
Look who's in it.
But anyway, go ahead. On to your next movie.
Yeah, but I will do that sometime.
Okay. So all of you, you want to see him tear a movie apart?
Yeah. Give me one, and I will do everything I can to just turn it into a hot pile of steaming, burning garbage. I will set that shit on fire. Anyway, next movie I'm going to be reviewing is the movie Waxwork. It came out in 1988. It was on June 17th is when it was released. Directed by Anthony Hickox. And it was distributed also by Vestron Pictures, who also distributed Slaughter High. Vestron Pictures was kind of the big distribution for horror.
The distributor for distribution?
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, Vestron Pictures was a huge distribution for horror films back in the 80s.
Right.
I mean, just about any horror film you could think of, Vestron Pictures had something to do with it. And Waxwork is another one. And this one stars, from Gremlins fame, Zach Galligan, a.k.a. Billy Peltzer.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I was, when I first watched it.
Isn't it, just to throw this out there, isn't it like the 25th anniversary of Gremlins 2? Or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
This year?
Friday the 13th. They just had Jason Voorhees' birthday. He's 72.
Oh, fantastic.
And he's still killing.
All right.
Anyway.
Knocking it out of the park.
But yeah, Zach Galligan is the main, the protagonist of the film. And there's an appearance by legendary actor John Rhys Davies. For those of you who don't know who that is, he portrayed Gimli in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes, Lord of the Rings.
So, and he has a small part in the film.
I'm going to have to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm going to have to let all of you in on the latest from Loot Crate 2 also today. So, don't let me forget.
Okay.
Continue on. I'm sorry, I wanted to get that idea out before I...
I can see the veins protruding from your head, and you're like...
Well, I mean, just talk. Go ahead.
And the one of the great things about the movie is that it's cited as one of the first self-referential horror films before Scream. Scream was very self-referential.
So for those who probably wouldn't know, self-referential would be referring to itself as a horror film.
Yeah, pretty much. And this movie is also considered a horror comedy
during the film.
During the film,
yes.
There's a lot of little jabs and homages to different films. For example, Night of the Living Dead, Little Shop of Horrors, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Wolfman. What else? The Golem.
Right.
Phantom of the Opera. They have a few little things here and there. The Marquis de Sade is in it. And it's really neat. Now, the whole premise of this movie is that this guy, his name is Lincoln. He's the antagonist of the film. He's trying to bring forth the voodoo apocalypse, so to speak, and he has to sacrifice 6 people for each night of 1 week. And when he does that, it'll unleash everything. So what he does is the two of the main girls in the group happen to come across the wax museum. And Lincoln invites them and brings 6 friends, no more. So he kind of does. So they do, and that's when all the craziness happens. Their friend Tony gets thrown in with the Wolfman. So he's thinking he's been hypnotized or he's on drugs or whatever. And he goes in there, and of course that's when John Rhys Davies makes his appearance and tells the guy, "You need to run. You need to get as far away from you as you can." But then all of a sudden the full moon comes out, and he's like, "You're too late." He changes, bites him, and then the hunter and his son come in, and well, and that's the end of that little scenario.
Right.
And it's really, it's one of those movies where you can just sit there and go, "Wow, this is awesome."
Right.
It's kind of, there's a little jab in there. At one point, the Phantom of the Opera scene, there was supposed to be, it was actually supposed to be either Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers.
Right.
And they were trying to get the right licensing right just to have him make an appearance. But they couldn't come up with it in time, so they had, of course, Phantom of the Opera. There's so many incarnations of that, they can just use whatever, and that's what they did.
Right.
At the last minute. And that's fine. But as Lincoln's talking to this guy, the guy that gets sacrificed, he goes, "Oh, yes, this is one of my favorite works right here." And the guy's like, "Oh, The Curse of the Phantom." And he goes, "You know about this?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a movie about it." He goes, "They made a movie about the Phantom of the Opera?" He goes, "Yeah, they made 6 of them." And he goes, and he pushes him in. And, of course, that's his sacrifice. And as Lincoln's walking away, he kind of shakes his head and goes, "They'll make a movie about anything these days."
That's funny.
Yeah. All in all, great movie. The ending is really good. Big action-packed ending. And there's a little funny thing at the end that some people will catch. Otherwise, all in all, fun movie to watch. Good laugh. There is a sequel. That one's it's okay. Not as entertaining as the first.
Right.
But entertaining nonetheless.
Right.
So, highly recommend it. They actually, in 1988, they actually put out a comic adaptation of the movie.
Interesting.
From Blackthorn Publishing. I'm pretty sure that's probably out of print. But if you probably find it on like eBay or...
Right.
You might get lucky and find it on Amazon.
You might be able to find it on digital copy too.
You might be able to.
If you're one of those people who likes to read.
Yeah.
The digital copies of the movies, and Michelle gave us the little nerd guy.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're nerds, but whatever. Hey, we're here to have some fun. On that same note, since we are currently talking about comic books, if you live in the Quad Cities area, coming up on June, hold on, let me look. Where the heck did it... Okay,
drop my pen, sorry.
Okay, it's all right. June 22nd. All right, so June 22nd at the Tax Slayer Center. If you live in the Quad Cities area, make sure you get your tickets to Planet Funk Con. Evidently, it's going to be quite the fiesta. We'll call it that.
Shindig.
Shindig, yeah. Well, anyway,
extravaganza.
as far as I know, they're going to have a plethora of cosplay, and there's going to be a ton of comic book artists, a few special guests. I guess they're going to do an after show at one of the bars downtown. So if you live in the Quad Cities area, or if you are coming into town from the Quad Cities area on June 22nd, it's the weekend of June 22nd, Planet Funk Con downtown Moline at the Tax Slayer Center.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have nothing to do with that, but we're going to plug it because we want to get more cons here.
Yes.
So, so that's why we're plugging it, because we'll try to be there. We can't guarantee we'll be there.
We're working on it. We'll see.
Yeah. So, I mean, we won't be part of the show, but we'll definitely be down there. If you're a fan of the show,
who knows? Someday that might end up happening.
Yeah, right. Well, we're more than happy to shake your hand, take a photo, take a selfie.
Yes.
Hey, with the Fire Away podcast guys. So, we'll be there. Maybe, if we can. We'll let you know if we are.
Yeah.
So, Planet Funk Con, check it out.
Definitely.
Check it out on Facebook. They have their own Facebook page, and they've been releasing videos. They've been doing stuff forever to get people to go down there. We're also going to have another Quad City Comic-Con. I don't know how well that's going to go over, but we keep trying to have cons here, and people show up. So that's why they keep trying to bring cons here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, our good buddy Rick's going to pop in around 8:30 if, well, it's 8:30 our time, not his. But he's going to pop in around 8:30 and probably be with us for the remainder of the show and into Facebook land, maybe, if he can stick around that long.
Right.
If his phone doesn't die. Or mine doesn't, one or the other. But as usual, we'll have our break session in between, probably about 15-20 minutes in between. So if you can go take a break, take a shit, take a whatever you want to do, and
rub one out. I don't know.
Rub one out if you got time. You know, just so
why not?
Before we log on to Facebook, you know, so we can hang out with you guys. And it literally will be a hangout session. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have any input, you're more than welcome to put it in. But without further ado, I think we should go ahead and do this.
Death match.
You ready for the death match?
I am ready for the death
You ready for the death match?
I am ready for the death match.
Sweet. So, for those of you who, this is new. So,
yep. First time.
I'm going to try and play some of the music in the background while I'm talking about it.
This ought to be good.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So,
if you're easily distracted like me, this is going to be funny.
So, I sat down and I listened to both of these albums. I'm going to tell you what, man. It was a long sit. I had to listen to some of them in the car. I had to listen to. I'm not gonna say they're great albums. Because, to be very honest with you, I am a huge fan of Gwar.
Yes.
And not so much a fan of Ghost.
I'm not. I'm just gonna say right now, I do not understand the appeal.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what the appeal is to Ghost. At least the last few albums from Ghost. Okay. The last few albums from Ghost do bring you back to that feel. Well, let's go ahead and play some of it. It brings you back to some of that appeal of what Judas Priest and Iron Maiden would have given you in the 80s. I don't know exactly, maybe. But anyway, we'll just go ahead and go down the list. I rate these by 1, likability, 2, composition. Because if an album is not well composed, they sound like ass, which is a good portion of Cannibal Corpse's albums.
Yeah, and that's with Chris Barnes.
Right. 3, solid vocals. If the band has a good solid vocalist, it makes the album a whole lot better. Longevity. Will this album hold up in 10 years? That's where it starts to get icky. So, let's see here. Cover art. Is it metal or not? If you got an album that has pink flowers on the cover of it and it's a metal album, it's probably not going to pass the metal test. Face melting guitars. This is very important if you're a metal fan. If you don't have good solid guitars, some guitar solos in there to make you want to mosh, it's not going to make you want to enjoy the album. Consistency, does it stay metal all the way through the album? If you have a shit ton of ballads or you break down into a country song, you're not going to pass the test. Mosh-worthy. If you're a metalhead, you want to mosh to it. I'm sorry, that's just part of it. You gotta want to mosh to it. Is it really metal? Which is where we stand with what were we talking about earlier? Are you fucking yawning? Don't yawn, man.
It's enough out of you.
Is it really metal? I mean, which is what we were talking about earlier with Alice in Chains. There's a lot of bands that you can really wonder about, and we'll get into that too. Notable songs. Does it have songs that maybe you don't listen to the whole album, but you'll listen to these 5 songs or these 2 songs just because you bought the album, for those songs, which is important. And then they'll get bonus points for whether or not I like the album. Okay, so let's hop right into it. All right, so likable. Is it likable? We'll start with Ghost. One, it is a likable album. If you're not a fan of real heavy metal, but you're into metal and you like some good hard music, some good solid music, Ghost will pass on this album, which the album is Prequelle? I don't know how to fucking say the name of this album. It's Prequelle. So, Prequelle? I don't know. Anyway, so, is it likable? Yes, it is a likable album if you enjoy this type of music. Composition. This album is well composed. I'm gonna say the music that came from this album is really well put together. If you got your guitarist and your bass, and it all blends together well. The vocals go well together. I mean, you're listening to it right now. This song is called Rats, sorry. So it's really well put together. Again, like I said, solid vocals. This guy sounds a little bit like Alice Cooper. As compared to the last singer and the singer before that, this guy has a little bit more of an Alice Cooper-like feel.
My question is, why do they keep going through all these different vocals?
I don't know. And that's where we get into the next one. Longevity. Okay, this band's been around for what, 6-7 years? And they've gone through 4 lead singers?
Yep.
Okay, so with this whole theme that they have going, where they're like I don't know, maybe they're a cult or they're I don't know, whatever the hell they're supposed to be. The lead singer's supposed to be like the Pope. Well, as far as it goes, if you want to talk about metal popes, he does not stand a test of time. But will this band be able to hold up for 10 years? If we have learned anything from Kiss, having had several different guitar players and several different drummers, they can stand the test of time. Will this album hold up for 10 years? Yes, it will, considering the direction that metal is moving. So we'll move. That brings us to the next one, number 5. Cover art. Is it metal? I'm sorry, but yes, it is. Metal cover. It's got some sort of monster on the cover, and then the little Pope guy on the top. So let's move on to number 6. Face melting guitars. No, I apologize, but they don't have face melting guitars. There's no good solid guitar solos in this album that make me say, okay, I'm ready for this one. This is good. I can do it. Consistency. Does it stay a metal album? No. There are several ballads on this album, which, yeah, you kind of expected that. If you're not a Ghost fan like me, you expected them to, it doesn't stay metal all the way through. This current song we're listening to, it's heavy, but it's not heavy metal, But anyway, is it mosh worthy? Fuck to the no. There's not an album, or not a song on this album worthy of moshing to. And if you're a metal fan, that's
a big no-no.
That's a big no-no. So that brings us to the next one. Is it really metal? No, it's not. You can't call this metal in any way, shape, or fashion. You could have called it metal in 1979 or 1980, but you can't call it metal now.
No.
You can call it hard rock or pop rock.
That's what I was going to call it.
But you cannot call it metal. So, as far as it goes, metal, no. Are there notable songs on here? Yes, there are. There are several notable songs. Some being Life Eternal and Rats. Good songs, but the overall rating out of all this is, it's 5.5. And did it get the bonus points? Did it get the bonus points? No, it did not get the bonus points. I'm sorry, I did not like this album. I'm still not a Ghost fan. They haven't sold me.
So I wasn't impressed from the beginning.
Right. So, as far as it goes, no, that'll be a big no on the Ghost. 5.5 out of a possible 13, but we'll go out of a possible 10. Ghost gets 5.5.
I think you might have to refresh the.
Okay, sure.
Just for the hell of it, see what.
Just there for the hell of it, let's refresh the screen. All right, so that brings us to our next. Well, it's a fan favorite here at the table.
Yeah.
So, our good old friends GWAR. That's right, GWAR. If you're a GWAR fan, I apologize for what I'm about to do to you.
Yeah. The thing is that I've been a fan of GWAR for years. I was introduced to them my sophomore year in high school. A guy sitting next to me, he got
Not this guy. Not this guy.
Dude that sat next to me in like my health class in high school, my sophomore year, he was all about it at the time. And he let me borrow America Must Be Destroyed.
Oh man,
Scumdogs of the Universe.
they have so many freaking notable albums. Ragnarok, America Must Be Destroyed.
We Kill Everything.
We Kill Everything. Let's see, what else was there? But anyway.
Yeah, you get the idea.
They have notable albums. I just can't think of them because I'm old. Let's just go with it.
Why not? I was really bummed out when I heard that Dave Brockie passed away. Odorous Urungus. Great. He was one of those. You know, he was part of the punk scene for years, and then turned around and formed GWAR.
It was fantastic.
And it was
in its heyday. But again, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to you.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
So the name of the album, The Blood of Gods. Was it likable? For me personally, no. This album was, as far as GWAR albums go, I didn't like it. I was, like he was saying, Dave Brockie, Odorous Urungus. When Odorous Urungus was the singer of this band, it was GWAR. I mean, it was solidly GWAR. And yeah, I totally understand the idea that, hey, sometimes bands have to evolve. Sometimes, to continue on making music, we gotta find a new lead singer. This lead singer, I did not like.
I'm not crazy.
Was it likable? No, it wasn't for me at all. I'm playing it right now. This song's called Viking Death Machine. Just wanted to point that out. Number 2, composition. Was it well put together? For a GWAR album, always. The band is always well composed.
Every time.
I mean, the band
even
sounds
their
good.
worst songs are good.
Yeah,
and there's really not that many.
The most terrible songs are still good. So
until now.
Yeah. That's the sadness behind it, but it's okay. But composition was good. So number 3, solid vocals. As far as it goes, I mean, he's okay. So I gave him a yes. I gave him the point for it because it was okay for what it was.
I've been listening to a lot of GWAR lately. Back when Odorous was the front man, and this new guy, I don't even know who the hell he is.
I didn't care. I didn't even bother looking for the name. Right. He's an obese dude with giant horns sticking out of his head. I understand coming from another obese man. Yes, it makes no sense to make comments about.
That's about the only thing I could ever come up with. As far as he goes, it doesn't go with the music.
Well, I mean, it goes with this music. It doesn't go with GWAR's old music.
No.
So, I mean, as far as it goes with this music, it's fine. Longevity, will it hold up in 10 years? No, it won't. As far as GWAR, if you're a fan of GWAR and you've listened to the last albums, this is like the thorn in the patch of roses.
I think this was kind of like their last ditch effort to try to see if they could keep going.
Well, I mean, they've been doing it for 2 albums, so, but this is terrible. So it will not hold up in 10 years. Number 5, cover art, metal or not? Yes, it is a GWAR album. Every GWAR album has a metal cover.
You look at it and go,
that's GWAR.
Right away.
They
stand out.
It's very literally a picture of the band, but it's kind of cartoony. But
it's always been that way, but that's what you come to expect.
Right. So, I mean, it's GWAR. So it's a good. I mean, is it metal or not? Yes, it is. It's a cover. The cover art is totally metal. Face melting guitars. It's GWAR. Yes, there are face melting guitars.
Balzac, the Jaws of Death, is a badass guitar player.
The album is very metal. It is. I mean, it's heavy at times when it needs to be heavy. It's light when it needs to be light. It's a GWAR album the way it's supposed to be.
And it pokes fun at itself too.
Right.
In some aspect.
So it's everything you'd expect from a GWAR album except for the vocals.
Pretty much.
Consistency. Does it stay metal all the way through? Of course it does.
It's GWAR.
Of course it does.
There's no doubt.
So I'll just let it, be GWAR. Is it mosh-worthy? Yes, there are several songs on here that are mosh-worthy. If you could get past the vocals of the album, you can totally mosh to this. Yeah. Every bit of it.
GWAR could just become an instrumental band, and it would still kick ass.
Right, but I think they could find
it at this point.
I think they could find a better lead singer.
I'll do it.
Is it really metal? Yes, it's metal. It's GWAR. That's all you need to say. Notable songs. There are notable songs. Viking Death Machine was one of them. I'll Be Your Monster.
I didn't care for that one.
You didn't like I'll Be Your Monster?
Yeah. Did not care for it.
That's fine. It was notable to me. Fuck This Place was another one. And If You Want Blood, a good a throwback to AC/DC. It's a pretty good. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Let's go ahead and play in the background if I can get it here. If You Want Blood, you got it. So, as far as it stands, GWAR is standing strong at 8 points. Did they get the bonus? No. I apologize. I did not like this album. Do I think I'll listen to it again? Probably not. This is probably the one shot. Like I said, there are notable songs though, worth listening to. Like I said, Viking Death Machine, Fuck This Place, If You Want Blood. This is pretty fun. I like the throwback to AC/DC. It's pretty fun. But he doesn't like I'll Be Your Monster. I thought it was all right. But whatever. Yeah, so that's it. So, the points as it stands, GWAR will be your champion this week at 8, barely squeaking out a win over Ghost at 5.5.
I might have to find a band and put them up against GWAR.
You put them up against GWAR?
I think I'm going to try to find them.
Put them up in my ear against GWAR. So there you have it. Josh is going to put a band to put up against GWAR.
Shall be my champion.
Who will be Josh's champion? Tune in at the next podcast. We'll find out who it is. Yeah. But as it stands this week, GWAR is your champion, barely squeaking out a win by 2.5 points against Ghost at 5.5. And I only gave him the half point because what was it? I know I marked it down. I thought I did. I guess I didn't mark it down. But anyway, here it is, maybe, longevity. When I was talking about how Ghost could probably continue on the band, the problem is the band going to be likable? So,
more likely, are they going to be relevant?
Are they going to be relevant? Yeah, sure. Like Slipknot isn't now.
Yeah, we won't get started on that.
Oh, I can talk all day about Slipknot. Fuck Slipknot. But moving on, I wanted to actually throw out a notable album for everyone to get into. I thought this might be fun. Over the next few weeks, if you want a good album to listen to, if you like live albums, the notable album, Anthrax, Kings Among Scotland, was one of my favorites over the last few. Hold on, let me see if I got it within my lineup here. Lineup brought to you by Spotify. Shameless plug.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if anybody can hear these.
So, what do we want to... Kings Among Scotland. We'll go ahead with one of Josh's favorites. So, if you like live albums, this album is fantastic. I listened to it all the way up to the time that we went to the Slayer concert. I'm like, I want a good best of album, and you can't get better best of albums than live albums.
Yeah.
So, if you were solidly going to look for a good live album, this is probably one of the better ones I've listened to. And live albums are really hard to come by when it comes to good ones. So, I mean, if you want a good live album, you go to Philadelphia for Lamb of God. You go to Alive Worldwide by Kiss. But as far as Anthrax goes, this one's a really good one.
I'm going to have to listen to it now.
Kings Among Scotland. This is a really good one. They recorded it in Glasgow, Scotland.
Nice.
And evidently they chose it because it's one of the more live crowds for Anthrax.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is one of my favorites as far as live albums go. Check it out. Nice purple cover. Looks like what's the album? Rock and Roll Over. By Kiss.
Yeah.
I know Josh can see it, but there it is. See?
Yep.
If any of you can see it, it's got that nice little circle of the band. It's good. It looks like the Rock and Roll Over cover for Kiss, but it's, a nice little homage in Anthrax. Anything Anthrax does right now can just be solid gold for me.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, that having been said, we are waiting for our third compadre.
Yes.
So, Yukon Cornelius, you can chime in at any time. Hopefully, I'm sorry for the dead air. Go ahead and talk, Josh. What do you think of it so far? While he's wiping the sweat from his brow, because it's like 90 degrees in here. It is cooling off in here, though.
It is. It is. What were you saying?
Up there.
Oh, here we go.
Little Rick and Morty. Mr. Lebo.
What? It is humid out here.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, just shut the hell up.
Hey, we have the remnants of Hurricane Bud out here, okay?
Oh, you poor thing.
Tropical storm ball soup.
It's 63% humidity out here.
Oh,
that's got to be new for you.
Excuse me while I don't
in the
give
desert.
a shit.
I've got my towel. Don't worry, my trusty green towel.
I'm still saying,
special monkey sheets,
dude. I'm still gonna get you one of those Nike golf towels that has a little attachment that you normally hang from a golf bag, but you'd be hanging it from your freaking belt.
His sidearm.
Right.
What if I hang it from something behind my belt?
Whatever you want to hang it from, man.
I expect no less from you.
That Prince Albert,
In a can.
In a can.
So, Mr. Lebo, did you happen to listen to the breakdown of the death match between Ghost and Gwar?
I could not. I was busy having some dinner.
What did you eat?
Having some dinner and watching Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, he's got better things to do than watch us on the podcast.
How is Napoleon Dynamite better than the podcast?
I don't fucking know.
Because the missus turned it on.
Oh, okay. Well,
that explains it.
Yeah.
and whatever the missus does.
Yeah, she had more important things to do than watch us on the podcast.
I must follow the honey hole, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'll just go ahead and let you know the Guar pulled out, eked out the win over Ghost by about 2.5 points.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That new album was just horrendous.
When they came out with the new album with the new singer, and the radio station played "Fuck This Place" or "World" or whatever it was,
Right. Fuck
I got
this place,
really excited, and then I heard the guy's voice, and I'm like, "What?
Oh no!
It's like, yeah, no.
Like, it was offensive."
It's offensive to Guar fans. I mean,
That wasn't just offensive. That's a straight up dick punch.
yeah, they kicked us all in the balls.
Hard.
I mean, I think it would have been all right if Beefcake the Mighty would have just continued on as the lead singer.
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, he was already, backup vocals.
Yeah.
He could have done it.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand the allure of Ghost by some people.
I was
I
just
don't
saying
either.
that too.
Like I said when I was going through the list, I think the allure is more based upon those people who like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. It kind of harkens back to that feel. It's not as heavy, but
I think they put way too much effort. They put more effort into their stage show than they do their music.
yeah.
The
Totally.
thing that really irks me is like they won for best heavy metal album one year, and I'm like, nothing about that's heavy metal.
No.
Nothing.
Hard rock, pop rock, maybe, but not heavy metal.
No.
Like, I put that closer to alternative than I do to any kind of metal.
Right.
Well, I mean, where does alternative stand? Where's the line drawn for alternative? I mean, are we talking Coldplay or are we talking
Well,
Nirvana?
here's the thing with that is alternative now is just the same kind of shit you'll hear on like top 40 pop radio stations.
Like Coldplay.
Pretty much.
If I can listen to it and not once want to start like nodding my head at least,
Right.
like that's alternative.
Right. I mean,
Like, if I listen to it and I want to cut myself, that's alternative.
right, and it's not the early '90s homoerotic blowjob headbanging.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I don't care.
Well, you know what though? Korn still holds up, whereas a
They
lot
do.
of these other bands don't.
I still though, like, Korn is one of the first bands I blame for the temporary downfall of metal, because once they were like, we don't need to play guitar solos, which is
Right.
one of the things that makes metal to me. Like, not a good deal.
No, not at all. I mean, but there were a lot of bands that we would have considered metal that didn't play too many guitar solos.
No.
Sepultura being one of them.
Sepultura played plenty of guitar solos.
They played plenty, but they didn't play. Not every song had a good, solid guitar solo in it.
Almost all of them did.
Okay. Well,
I'd say more like a Coal Chamber. They don't
Yeah.
have guitar solos.
but Cold Chamber would still, it was still good heavy metal for the time. I mean, that was back when, metal was like just, grunting and shoulder checking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like Static X, they
Right.
never really did much in the lines of solos, but they at least carried like a heavy sound through the whole thing, and they never sounded like they were crying about daddy.
Right.
Right.
Like Five Finger Death Punch does now.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on those twat muffins.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Those big old group of puss cakes.
I haven't listened to anything from Five Finger Death Punch in a while. But you know, it's not like at the top of my listening. Like I had told Josh earlier, I you know, ever since the concert, I've had Behemoth on heavy rotation, and I listened to these two albums like because I was like, well, this sounds like fun. Let's try this. And I'm like, well, I mean, you know, a good, solid death match, some metal reviews in the show might be a little bit more fun. That way we can expand. I listened to these two albums, and then after that, I'm like, okay, Behemoth, Lamb of God, Municipal Waste. I was listening to different stuff. I was hurting for some good, solid thrash music.
If you really want to hear, there's two bands I can highly recommend right now: Havoc,
Right.
and Iron Reagan.
Right. There was another one earlier today that I was checking out. I can't remember the name of it, but it was good thrash music. They
Did you ever
harken to
listen to that
Havoc.
Knocked Loose I told you about?
the what was it?
Knocked Loose?
Knocked Loose.
Yeah, I sent you guys a message about that to listen to it.
No, I have not listened to it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's like two songs that are together in one track, and it's called Billy No Mates and Counting Worms.
Okay. I thought okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I thought the band was called Billy No Mates.
No, it's really like there's no solos or anything, but it kind of harkens back to that good like New York thrash.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Considering you know, you're the comic book guy here, have you heard the latest songs, especially the one by Chino from the sorry, I have a few flies floating around in my beer here.
The Justice League Dark Metal.
Yes, not the Justice League Dark. The
Or Justice League
Dark Knight Metal.
Yeah,
Dark
there
Knight's
we go.
Metal.
I heard the Chino song. I liked most of it. You know, I felt a little bit of it got a little too like White Pony for me.
I liked White Pony. What the fuck, dude?
I felt like White Pony, they just completely lost their edge, and it just went into what I now think of with a lot of the Deftones, where it's just melodic and kind of just singy / whiny voice.
Well, he always had kind of a whiny voice.
I know, but he also had he could get very, you know, I mean, he doesn't scream at all.
Right. Well, I mean,
And
he does in this song, doesn't he? This one?
yeah,
I don't
but
remember.
you know, there's parts of it that still remind me of like the White Pony stuff, but there was stuff that definitely harkened back to Adrenaline and
Around the Fur.
yes, thank you, God.
No problem.
Well, you're talking to Mr. Deftones right here. He's got he used to have the Deftones license plate on that car that looked like it had a mouth on the front.
Yeah.
Well, and on his old red truck.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he's the one that got me into him. I bought Adrenaline on his word, and I went home, and that's still to this day one of the like maybe 10 albums I can put on and not have to skip anything or get tired of it or stop it early. Like, it's a beginning to end album.
Right. There are very few of those too. I can't think of too many that I can listen to beginning to end.
And believe it or not, when I got into the Deftones, I was going by a word of mouth of somebody that I knew, and they were just singing praises about the band themselves. And I caught live footage from when they were on the Warped Tour that year. And I can't remember what song they did, but it was pretty badass. And I went and bought Adrenaline, loved it.
There's a rock by the log, honey.
It was what?
You're not listening to me.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm talking to my little one. By the log, there's your other rock. All right.
And I just loved the first two albums, just because they were so badass. And even the songs where he's just singing were heavy enough where you get into them and you're not annoyed with them and you're like, okay, shut the hell up, we get it. You know, like Billy Corgan. Oh, did I say that out loud too? I don't care.
Well, I would put Smashing Pumpkins in my top 10 worst bands that like our people listened to and thought were good.
Right.
I used to love watching the hipsters walking around with their corduroy pants and their Smashing Pumpkin T-shirts.
Just the Zero T-shirt.
Yeah, and then the Zero T-shirt. We get it. You suck.
We get it. You hate your life. Kill yourself.
Yeah.
But
sorry, not supporting suicide.
No.
We do not like suicide on this show.
No.
We do not think that anyone should kill themselves.
No.
Sorry.
Your guy Billy Corgan though, he's bringing back one of those old wrestling companies.
Yeah, TNA. Or no, he owns
NWA.
NWA. That's it. Yeah. But I don't know how well he's going to bring it back though.
Not the people of color with attitude, but
not the people of color with attitude.
There we go.
Anyway,
I can't say it.
Well, right, because we're white and we're not allowed to say those things.
Yeah.
But as it may stand, since you're on the line, and I was going to address this earlier, the As I Lay Dying controversy. I don't know if either of you enjoy that band.
No.
How about you, Rick?
I'm not a big fan.
Not a big fan? Okay, well, I'm not a huge fan, per se, as I do enjoy a few of the songs. But to address the situation, the lead singer hired a hitman to kill his ex-wife, who the hitman turned out to be a cop. So
See, I don't know why people hire hitmen. It's always a cop now.
Right. So to lay the stupidity behind the band after he served, I think it was 2.5 years of a 4-year sentence.
Yeah.
Decided to bring him back into the band. And to be very honest with you, the new tracks that are coming out from As I Lay Dying are actually really good. But the controversy that stands next to it is, why did the band go back to this guy after he had after this whole thing happened? On top of that, do we go ahead with the band as the social justice warriors out there stand to put their opinion in where it's not needed?
They do that a lot.
And should the band continue that way? Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed has put his opinion in. They should, saying, were there shittier jobs out there that they decided that they couldn't move on? And then I'll talk to the band, and then I don't know if he ever really did. There were other bands and other podcasts that chimed in. Why did they do this? Personally, for me, I don't know what the original lead singer, how the original lead singer was with the band. I mean, I don't know, or this is the original lead singer, I'm sorry. The newer lead singer that they were touring with was with the band. I don't know if he was better for the band, but as it stands right now, they're making above par music. Do we want to say that, you shouldn't be in the band because you did this thing? For touring purposes in the future, Mr. Yawns a lot. Josh is over here yawning away. He's tired as fuck, man.
Sorry.
It's okay. For the band in the future, if they try to tour outside the country, I don't know if the lead singer's going to be able to go.
Well, look what happened with, I don't know if the band Lost Prophets.
Okay.
About what happened with their vocalist. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
No.
Oh, wow. This was a few years back. They ended up finding out that he was a sexual predator.
Oh, wow.
And a drug addict. And he had videos of him, I won't go into full detail here, but with underage girls and younger.
Wow.
And
there's certain things you don't do, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
R. Kelly. Did I say that out loud?
Oh, and you don't care. And there was like a big. The band ended up wondering if they should even keep going because they're going to have that reputation. Well, what they ended up doing was he went. This guy's in prison. He's not getting out anytime soon.
Right.
The band themselves
Chester's belong in prison.
Yeah, amongst other places.
Hell.
But what ended up happening was they're like, well, we're not going to keep calling ourselves this. So they changed. I can't remember what they changed their name to. Got a new vocalist. Changed their style and everything, and then I think they just eventually just stopped.
Right.
And and that's their choice. But when you got something like that, I mean, if I was in a band and one of the members of that band was notorious for that, I'm severing all ties. I don't give a rat's ass.
Well, in the case of the lead singer for this band, obviously this is the only time he ever did it because he got caught.
Yeah.
So I don't assume he's ever going to do that again. But on top of that,
you never know.
When you have the band and you want to tour outside the country, you can't because you get your
I think it was your passport.
That's it. Thank you. Your passport pulled. You can't tour outside the country. And when this band is wanting to tour outside the country, what do? Do they get a new lead singer for the tour, or do they just say fuck it, we're not touring outside the country anymore? So I mean, they didn't really. I personally, if you really think about it, this was the wrong choice. As far as touring-wise and making money-wise, as far as the business end of being in a band, was the wrong choice.
It was not only was it the wrong choice, it was a stupid choice.
Well, it was a stupid choice. But as far as the music goes, it was probably an all right choice. It wasn't the greatest choice, but whenever you have hardcore fans and the original lead singer is awesome, that is how you want to go. You want to go with the original lead singer as opposed to the bring in, i.e., we'll say Gwar at the moment.
Yeah. Why, I don't know.
Rick, would you like to chime in here? What do you think?
Personally, if you're going to try and put a hit out on anybody, I don't care if you did the time. You're not welcome back.
Right, I hear you.
I don't care if it is. I don't know. I don't care if it's Metallica and James Hetfield does it. You're not welcome back, sir. Just
move along.
Thanks for
Happy
playing.
Trails.
And to be honest, it should be the death of the band. And if all the other members want to get a new singer and create a new band name, fine.
Right.
That is a rain cloud that's going to be sitting over your head
for as long as he's there. Yeah.
Well, for as long as they're a band. I mean, it doesn't even matter if he leaves the band and they pick up a new singer. I hear as I lay dying, and my first thought is, oh yeah, the band with the guy that tried to have his wife killed.
Right.
Like, there's places that your head goes, with things. When I think of Roman Polanski, all I think of is, oh yeah, he liked to BF little girls. like I don't think about the fact that he made a bunch of movies and a lot of them were critically acclaimed. Like, all I think of is, oh yeah, he was into really, really young girls.
Yep. So, you, sir, have made it, or you, as a band, have made the wrong choice. As I lay dying, totally. You're good. Your old music was good for your fans. It's time to move on to something else.
Yep.
All right. So, Rick,
speaking of people who've done really bad things, and I wanted to get a chance to say this because it's my new favorite thing in the world. I totally called Chris Hardwick like 3 years ago. Totally called it. I knew he was a douche.
He looks like a douche.
Yeah. He looks like one of those guys you talk to him for like 5 minutes and you want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Chris Hardwick. I find him annoying.
Here's the thing, though. At least with that whole Me Too movement, he doesn't have to worry about being singled out. You're welcome.
Where Where's the soundboard?
Oh, but
Where is the soundboard?
I apologize. I had to move it off my phone.
Oh man.
But it doesn't make much.
That
difference
would have been
anyway.
perfect.
It would have been, but the problem is the way everything's set up now, and I need a new cord for that. So,
Hey-o.
So, we're coming up on the 9 o'clock hour.
We are.
So, for the last 7 minutes of the podcast, we're going to go ahead. I want to go ahead and let you do this, Rick. Go ahead and tell us about your pulls.
Oh, wow.
Did you forget about your pulls?
He was not prepared.
He was not prepared.
God damn it!
Just
Here's
hold on,
the
give him a
thing,
second to get into his Facebook page.
Yeah, come on.
The nice thing is with them a lot is independent books have really been destroying your top 2 or 3 companies.
Right.
Although I will say that one thing that interested me that DC had done, not this last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, was they had the, was it Aquaman and Jabberjaw, and, yeah, and they had, like, Flash and Speed Buggy.
That's funny.
They did a bunch of these mashups with the old, like, all-star cartoon characters, and I thought that was, like, hilarious.
Right.
I felt it was a good one, but Scout Comics, they've had a couple of my top picks over the last few times, and they came out again with Zinnober. I know it's
What?
it's Zinnnober.
Okay.
But it's basically, if you're familiar with the movie Reign of Fire,
Okay.
imagine that, except they're not like dressed up like Viking times, like they're still dressed up like it's current day still.
Right.
And it's like, post-apocalyptic after the dragons. They've come back. I don't want to just like read the description, but basically it's like a group of ex-Marines, a scientist, all that, and they're trying to figure out how to move past the dragons. And there's a weird like cult of dragon worshippers. So kind of like you remember Escape from L.A.
Right. Yeah.
Bruce Campbell and his people.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of a thing like that. And then Action Lab Comics put out a comic book called Aberrant, which seriously looks like the phrase I used was just a nice slice of fried gold.
Fried gold.
Oh wow, that sounds amazing.
I like anything fried.
Yeah.
I even like fried green beans.
It's about a Army operations commander who, after losing his entire unit to a superhuman attack, wages war by himself on a bunch of superheroes, including an eccentric billionaire.
Okay.
So basically, it sounds like General Thunderbolt Ross versus the world of superheroes, except it's not a major Marvel thing, but it almost sounds like they're doing like a middle finger to Iron Man and Tony Stark. But it just, the art looked amazing. The story definitely kind of had me sucked in. We'll say that, sucked in. And Immortal Hulk #1 was one of the few Marvel reboots that I thought looked good. It's more of like a Incredible Hulk as like a horror character.
I gotta get a copy of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed kind of Swamp Thing-esque, if you will.
Fantastic.
I like that.
You're just appealing to me. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, but it's true though. It really is.
Right. Gotcha.
Like, stop! My penis cannot get any more erect.
Yeah. So I mean, if I go back through the last month of pull lists that I have, I don't have my top pick doesn't come from a single major comic book company. There's one called 2021 Lost Children, comes from Titan Comics. Very similar to, or for fans of like Akira and Ghost in the Shell, stuff like that, anime.
Like that.
But Detroit from the United States, not a bad thing. Citizens are under control of a madman with extraordinary abilities. The only hope of retaking the city lies with 4 superpowered children, but their powers come with a price. Using them means aging prematurely.
Oh, wow.
Tell me that doesn't sound like a really good, like superpowers with a price instead of just like, oh, I have to deal with the fact that like I'm a rage monster half the time. Like, no, like if I use my powers too much, I'm gonna die.
Right.
Like,
well,
it's almost like having cancer and like you can do some things, but it's gonna make that cancer spread to your whole body faster.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hate to stop you right there, but we are at 8:59. What I'm going to do is we're going to take our regularly scheduled break and head over to Facebook, where we can just hang out and chat some more about these things. But at 8:59, we have to take a break, all of us, charge our phones, take a leak, whatever the heck, and then follow us on over to Facebook. And Rick will continue on with this, and we'll continue to have our nice little chat, and then where we can unwind, stretch our arms, and not be so serious.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So everybody out there, make sure you follow the Fireway Podcast, follow the Pull List Geek Forum. I'm not Geek Forum, Nerd Forum.
Nerd.
Sorry, Nerd Forum. Let me try that one more time. The Pull List Nerd Forum on Facebook also. And then follow the Underground Geek page on Instagram, because that will be, we're working on it. All of us are working on it. All of us have our own little piece in it. And it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna try to put everything that nerds us out. Anything you think you can geek around, that's gonna be on there. So, make sure you tune in to Facebook here within the next half an hour. Make sure we'll drop the hint to head on over to Facebook. Again, follow the Fireway Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and right here on YouTube. And follow, or make sure you join the group, and again, follow the Pull List Nerd Forum for all of your comic book
needs and desires.
That's it. So, Rick, I will give you a ring here in about 20 minutes.
Sounds bueno.
That way you can stretch your legs and take a leak and rub one out or whatever.
Humidity.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll talk to you later, Rick.
Okie doke.
All right. Later, man.
Bye.
Bye. So, Fireway Podcast fans, head on over to let's see here. We're going to end the show right here with this good old song like that we were talking about, Chino Moreno from the DC metal, or Dark Knight metal. The song's called Brief Exchange. So, that's it for this half of the show.
Now,
tune on over to Facebook so you can stretch your arms, stretch your legs, stretch whatever the hell you want. And
whatever you feel like stretching.
We're going to hang out and have some fun. All right? Talk to you later. Stay geeky, my friends.
Bloody.